to show how to add devices and how to manage workflow onto those devices into eCopy Sharescan. To demonstrate this, I'll just quickly configure a new workflow. So let's say I want to configure a eCopy Sharescan scan to SharePoint workflow. I can take an existing workflow and say scan as HR department new join. Uh, So this is a workflow to scan documents to somebody who newly joined into the organization, and I want to now publish this onto the device. What I mean by publish is create the workflow and push the workflow button onto the device. So I can, once I've created the workflow, I can give it a label, new documents, and I can create a new uh, logo for that. You can choose any 48 by 48 pixel PNG which will show up onto the device, and I can give a description. uh, yep, new joint site. So once I've configured the workflow as I need it to be appear on the device and be working on the device, I can add devices into Sharescan Administrator by going into the Sharescan Administrator console, which is where I configured my workflow, and I go to add devices. There's a few ways that we can discover devices on the network which are capable of eCopy Sharescan. The easiest way to do bulk is I can either do it by import. I can import a CSV file which has the IP address, the host name, and the vendors, or I can do it by discovering through a TCP/IP trace on the network. So I can choose that I want to do TCP/IP. I choose the vendor that I need, and I give an IP range that I know my devices are going to be. So let's say my IPs are in a subnet 45, and I want to discover all devices which are in this subnet 45.255. Once I have done this, and if I click on the refresh button now, or the search button now, it will, eCopy Sharescan will find all the devices which are supported on eCopy Sharescan for this particular vendor. If I have chosen the vendor, and they will be listed here. It will list the host name, the IP address, the vendor obviously, and the version, and the manager column is in case a device is already being managed by some other eCopy Sharescan administrator. So once all the devices that you need to add are listed, you can select either all or a few of them and click OK. When I click OK, all the devices which are listed here will be added into Sharescan Administrator, and they will be listed under this device columns here. Sharescan Administrator allows us to create device groups. The reasoning behind device group is that we can manage this group as one individual identity. It could mean that for HR department, I could have some certain number of workflows which I want to push onto one set of device. On a building, on a separate building, there might be certain number of people sitting which I want a few workflows to be configured. So I can configure workflows based on either individual device or group of devices. So once the device has been found, I can, one device or multiple device, I can select those device. I can put them under their respective groups. I just got this error because this device is physically not connected to my server right now. I'm working offline, but so you can push the device here. You can add new groups by right clicking on this devices area to say create new group. This could be building 4 in my organization, which has specific requirements, so there will be specific set of workflows. So now I can either go to my group of devices or my individual device to push the workflow that I want to be available on the MFD. So in this case, again, because these devices are physically not available to me, this simulator is a device which is available to me. It is very similar to any device that you have on your network. So now if I want to create or want to make the profile available on this device, I will click on the number of profiles that I want to be available and click on the save button. As I said, it could be to a single device or it could be to a group of device. Now when I go to the device, I should see the newly created button available onto the device. So it might take a couple of seconds to refresh. I'm just doing a manual refresh now. Sorry, this is a refresh. Yeah, so this newly created button is now available onto the MFD. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please write to